Chapter 10. Iron Creeds. My plea to thee, Mother, Father, preserver of the material, breaker of makers, keeper of breakers, divine be your word, set out in Aga, thus it be one. Paternal, maternal, eternal be thy reign, give unto us, we unworthy things, a purpose, a penance worthy of our purchased bread. Tears, sweat, or blood will shed to indenture men's debt to thee, maker of brick, breaker of stone, maker of fate, breaker of reins. I sing thee praise, so thy name be known, thy mind be shown, my will undone for thee. Mine humble plea, canticle of her praises. Gregor rose from extenuating prayer. Gestalt bundled in a mud-stained white flag with a red corn poppy, planted like a gravestone for him to kneel against. The corn poppy, the international battle standard of the lost legion, of the revolution lost, gone into the sunset. Let the sunrise once more, my lady heiress. No avian, endless or servile, shall escape the Justicar's law. Gregor capped his prayer with words of the heart, gripping tight an iron crux held against the forehead. He breathed deep, the air fresher, the sun brighter, and the forest glowing as he rose to the world's challenge, renewed and humbled in purpose. Twish gathered around him, some knelt, others stood. All had brought something to keep their hands busy. Silk to weave, skins to pin, and fish to strip. The first lesson of iron masonry Gregor shared at Arek's request is that nothing good comes from idle prayer. Gregor surmised he'd become a stand-in for a spiritual leader among the Futhin Kir and the Twish remnants in the absence of Arek or the soothsayer prior. A popularity Gregor wasn't sure what to do with, while risking problems the longer it persisted. Their wanting to pray with him and their fashioning cruxes from wood was at Arek's insistence, although Gregor advised against it. Mason practice took great care and thoughtfulness, and with the servile's eastern encroachment, the spread of Mason thoughts and symbols would only invite more varieties of persecution, all the disaster, all the rules, with none of the salvation or systemic advantage. Fresh wagons full of supplies had manifested in Schneider's camp. Where they came from, Gregor could speculate. But the timing couldn't have been a starker coincidence. Rumours among the flock said the son of the Twish chief, Tai, had suffered a grievous injury and would soon lose an arm to Noshkri's serrated triage. Children and elders crowded Gregor, on what had become the rook side of the mesa, to request food or medicine from the new trove once the group prayer had concluded. Schneider's goods conspicuously bore the black stars of Cervantes' tax-funded coffers. Despite Arek's fresh perspective, someone from his ranks still had a penchant for violence. "Wait your turn. There's enough for all," Gregor told eager children who'd rushed the painted men giving out salted rations and alchemic meals to go. By the routine, Gregor guessed Arek had gotten the Twish used to picking from raided goods, asking for only what they needed and exchanging what they could spare. The interim elected leader, Boda, and her riled-up boys knew the families and about how much each needed. The supplies, due to the nature of their acquisition, were non-essentials, mundane and majestic, limited to ammunition, firearms, calf, rations, clothes and medicine. The prize catch of today being a trunk of Cervantes alchemics. A treasure anywhere in the world, it proved a blessing to have Noshkri's knowledge at hand. For among these Rutland peoples, medicine wasn't just behind the time, it had regressed to standards below what had been common knowledge prior to their isolation. From village to village the quality of care differed, but never strayed beyond witch-doctor herbology at best, and superstitious homeopathy at worst. The Rutlanders' rookish past lingered too, for although they had lost the virtues of Mason knowledge, they simultaneously had no sense of blasphemous fleshcrafts or medicinal alchemics, despite the sheer abundance of mithrite flowing throughout their trade routes, and Myric curses afflicting their children. The scavenged Seren alchemics consisted of regenerative potions, nourishing flasks, upper salves, and downer balms. The most valuable alchemic of the lot, O mistook for a tin of tuna. Easily punctured with a knife, the unassuming tins withheld opaque blue slime, which the savant called Abra U, blue jay. A mender regenerative unlike any other anywhere across Eurus. A tincture's worth could clot and sterilize all but the gravest hemorrhage, ease pains or aches, and tend mild fractures. Amazing, even if it did taste and stink like a banana left to marinate in sour milk. The locals had grown fond of bluejay, and strangers from outsider tribes Gregor had yet to be introduced to had slipped off with every other tin Noshkree couldn't lock down. Schneider and Noshkree had paid off Arek's men to help protect the goods and lend a hand in distribution. Even if it contributed to Schneider's sudden and meteoric rise in status, Gregor agreed bluejay had to be controlled. The Rutlanders lacked regard for bluejay abuse in favour of its overuse. They insisted bluejay for every nick and scratch, a lethal prescription if extended. More than a handful of anecdotes circulated about Triarchan cafes who'd paid considerable sums of royals to people like Schneider and O to smuggle alchems in from the east to elevate their libations. At first, kickbacks ensured the consumers could enjoy bluejay-laced teas and juices, good for headaches and sore backs, bad for epidemics of liver disease. Preserver bless their souls, for when the Triarchy conjures forth regulations, then the wither acts truly afoul. The Catastroph's share of the stolen stores of bluejay were requisitioned and regifted to the Fish of the Wind and his many sons to honour and encourage good health upon Ty. If Gregor interpreted and committed to his journal the local customs correctly, the Twish society fluctuated too often to rest leadership on a single individual. The Fish of the Wind, the Goose of the Mountain, and the Tooth of the Pine were only titled with such honorifics and power in times of great crisis. The Fish of the Wind looked an unassuming old man, always squinting in sunlight. He sat alone on the red grass, peering out over the Rutland's wide basin from the mesa's edge, far from his family who worked vigorous prayers in Eris's good name on Ty's behalf. Thess curved away from them, rolling into hills of crimson evergreens before bending into the angry blue peaks of the Artons. "Welcome," the fish said, extending his hands and bidding Gregor join him. "You are Gregor?" "Yes, and you're the Fish of the Wind." Gregor sat but avoided the view, watching Schneider and his crew as they flaunted and postured from atop their hoard. Schneider had himself wrapped up in local honey, who'd come for a sack of potatoes but found a bottle hooch in Schneider's wandering eye. "You've a beautiful land. I'm honoured to be considered your guest," Gregor began, bowing his forehead, the gateway to the soul, against the dry topsoil. "Let us speak over the fruits of the mother's body. Of spice root we drink," the fish said. "Then let's waste no time," Gregor played back, supposing the dig a personable affair, so they could speak on easier terms later as companions who'd toiled as one than as two lost strangers. In Velka, such ceremonies meant to endear two fledgling associates began in the silence of laborious prayer upon the cold stone of a cherished atrium, amid the opera of the choirie's chastened recitations. On and on to washing dry throats with good volumes of Rega, motor oil liquor and cabbage dumplings like Mother used to embezzle from the soup kitchen. "May I ask you a question, sir?" Gregor asked over scrubbed topsoil, careful for knot rocks chewing the tubers. They had plenty of Seran entrenching spades, but they dug with chipped nails and raw mitts. "Where is your speaker Scylla? I'm interested in this story Wraith told of a singing cave. I'm afraid she's less than telling." Scylla bid us an omen and left. The fish cracked fibrous roots. "There's bad blood there, wounds I don't know how to touch." "What omen?" Gregor asked as they went about the worthy work. Gregor's hands muddy, his knees aching and his mind wetted. The ruggedness of this Rutland saga invigorated him. Once the tea was hot and steeped with spice root, they each took a sip and clacked their cups in adulation of their shared success. "To fear the girl with the yellow eye," the fish answered after a time. "Bid the end." Me speaker spoke. She spoke the language of shepherds better than any I know, and seldom without vagary. "Do you believe this?" Gregor accused, searching the faces of the revelling tribe. O spent his evening combing his mares and scrubbing their coats. Noshkree warmed his cold blood by the soul fire, mending twisted feathers. The yellow-eyed one lurked at the edge of firelight in an age of twilight. She watched the others, Boda in particular, through the steely stoicism of jewels inlaid a severed owl's skull. Reyth had no sense of a stony gaze yet, too new to the business of balancing her new perception and hiding her inner turmoil to keep it tucked away. Like the locks of her errant red hair, yellow eyes flit awry in the wind, feigning interest through blindsight into Sophie's self-portraiture. The more clear Reyth's disinterest became, the more Sophie turned to stealing flash photographs of Schneider's hoard, even now under constant guard by well-equipped Twish. What value did stolen servile goods hold to the Triarchan press? Only propaganda. What value did Reyth's dwindled interest in snapshots hold to Gregor? Only concern. Reyth's troubled, sure, but she blows in your breeze. I think she'd be a fine bride for you, Eshi. Unsure to be flattered or flustered, Gregor sputtered spiced tea. She's more than that, sir, and for a sprier lover than I. As the fish grew insulted, Gregor found flustered better fit the bill. You are the soft man some say you are. A shame. Gregor wielded humour to hide his own offence at the chief's attempt to marry Reyth off, like she were some problem, like she were his to give. Oh, spill my secret. The fish leaned forward to drink close to the ground, strong as oak beneath the lead weight of age. Arek did. I do nor intend to honour your call for peace. Our ways are not to abandon Sangar or our trails. Your ways will see Sangar become cinder, your trails coated in ash, Gregor said. You'd tolerate this evil? The fish proffered a small wooden crux, tied around his neck with a leather string and carved with the third iron bar of Velkan masonry bisecting the two of Rukanian brass. Me son Tai gave this to me. He said it would bring me protection. You brought this thing to us now. If you will nor help us be safe, what good are your charms? I am torn to hear news of your son's injuries. I abhor his assailant, not the servile but the war. I will share my knowledge, God willing, but I will not fight for you or them. Gregor leaned back towards the caravan, growing rancorous and drunk with the setting sun. I'm nor some bloodthirster, but me people are gone. The fish's waning patience finished the last of the cherry tea and planted the cup, open face, firm and flat. We shall draw blood from their bodies as gold sifted from Tyrnus. Did you not see the harm to your land, to your people? Gregor warned. The Twish disaster is to some extent Arek's fault. They sent an envoy of peace and Arek killed him. No man can own the mother. No man can make her bleed. She will regrow. I beg you, help us plant those seeds. The fish rose his aged body, bent but agitated with no more tea to busy him. Gregor caught the urge to echo the challenge, instead enjoying the last spice root, and paused upon the sight of the eavesdropping crowd, letting the root's warmth lay upon them like eiderdown. Do not be naive of our enemy's means or intent, Gregor said, louder for those in back. You are all making the same mistakes. Then what should we do? Demanded the fish of the wind. Tell us, if you're so wise as to reject me twice. As night fell, Gregor rose, brushing dust from Gestalt, her cloak stained by grass. He raised the bundle high, as he suspected already the blade's reputation turned heads. They all knew the risk of defiance. Those who were with Arek that day were the most silent and afraid. The fish asks me what you should do. The fire cracked. The wind whipped the bundle's tail, threaded in virtuous Eris's corn poppy scarlet. I do not wish to dispel your valour. Sky-clad or power-shelled, you are too few and too unaware the scale of the enemy to challenge them head-on. I ask you, he waved the feather of her mighty wings, enjoy and seek nights like this. Keep your hands clean. Do the work of cooperation and mutual aid, for your families. As he expected, Reyth rose to his challenge, her agitation lured.
Why is you such a coward, Gregor? You have the power to kill 'em all at your belt. Why do you keep it for yourself? How many have you killed in the mother's name? What are you even doing here besides poisoning me uncle's heart and mind?
Sophie tugged at Reyth's hand, but irritation snapped it away. Sophie withdrew to comfort her sore brands. 2 cruxes, 45-degree slashes for the brass choir girl upon her pink palms. The shared suffering of masons afar but alike must have invited her of him, for the meek Sophie met Gregor's gaze and gave an unknowing, embarrassed shrug. Gregor let them ponder Reyth. From through the white tail, from the Twish meadows to these high mesas, she had found the respect of those violent few she seeked to impress, but lost her footing. Even now, others watched her wary regard. Even Arek's children whispered against her. They say she killed her family, though Gregor had doubt. The Savant don't care about lives lost. Gregor paused to avoid addressing Reyth by name, Singling her out enough into his snare had been bad enough. You can kill and kill these serviles. Lovers will weep. But those in the distant halls of power hear no battle cries. Instead, hit them where they hurt, in their resources. Split their coin purses, burn or better seize their means, plug their geysers of gold wherever they sprout, my spring children. Raise metal chains or small arms to bust up their converter stations. Learn to read, learn to write in code and preserve your ways, quickly. Then, learn the shape of their nascent electrical grid. They surpass mere tribes. They are a nation, whose way is not bond of family and land, but structures of electricity. You cannot speak without words. You have no sense of what it means for them to communicate amongst themselves, the scale, the capacity. If you wish to fight them, they will kill you before you kill them. What matters is where they must commit to kill you. Shift their allotments, scarper in their halls, steal as you must, harm not those who can be helped. Sing, revolution without hate, that is a cycle worth preserving. With his grandstand at an end, and Wraith silenced, he took his seat upon the grass and resolved at last to admire the pregnant world as it stretched away from the setting star. Let any insulted stab at his back, the yawning allure of glory and battle wearied him. The new moon, fork-tailed Oogaloo, cut the face of the old great one, Era, so named of Eras, for her fixed white beauty in the sky formed from the preserver's own, not so unlike the pale, pretty twirl of a choir girl's bridal habits. The cold made him shiver, and he drew Gestalt tight. "You think they will listen to you?" the fish asked. Alcohol had painted the thoughts of most. He did not know. Wraith had returned to silence, though now Sophie did not bother her. The bookish Estervac retreated to the scryer's oversized tome. 4 eyes leer through onto Gregor. He must speak with her before it is too late. The speaker who whispers peace will always be louder than the speaker who cries war, Gregor said. The fish-white knuckled the wooden crux, to throw or to covet. You should rid yourself of mason symbols. They are dangerous. The fish relaxed and set the wooden crux aside, though not so far away. Gregor must admit, the woodwork had care and craftsmanship worthy of any harbinger's praises. Me boy will live by a miracle now, scaled, but come from the mountains with you. Your words are as wise as the scrolls of the old ones. Who'd 1,000 Thors to know such things? You's but a man from whence do you come? Gregor took his teacup and swished a crescent sliver of red water and leafy green grit. I come from afar, where I have glimpsed oblivion.